You're listening to The Okanagan Reader, where we present readings of short stories and other works that have been released under a Creative Commons license by their creators. You are free to listen to and share these readings as set out in their version of the Creative Commons license. Today's reading is part 4 of The Juniper Tree, written by John Kessel and narrated by Jim Bowering. It's a short story in the collection The Baum Plan for Financial Independence. And now, The Juniper Tree, Part 4, by John Kessel. It was an accident, but that didn't matter. He was an immigrant, an outsider, a man. Someone would surely accuse him of murder. They would drug him into insensibility, cut up his brain. At best, they would expel him from the colony and Roz with him, or, worse still, they might not expel Roz. He sat there, facing the cold reality of his 38 years of screwed-up life. Carrie's head lolled back into the muck, his mouth open. "You arrogant prick," Jack whispered to the dead boy. "You fucked it all up." He looked around the room. In front of him was the reduction chamber, the crusher, the soil reservoir. Shuddering, he went back to the tool chest and found a machete. He dragged Carrie's body over the edge of the reservoir, getting dirt up to his elbows. The soil was rich with the heat of decomposition. Jack stripped off Carrie's suit. He was about to begin cutting off the boy's arms when the airlock alert sounded again. He panicked. He stumbled out of the reservoir, trying to heft Carrie's body into the hopper of the crusher. Before he could conceal the body, he heard steps behind him. It was Roz. She stood for a moment staring at him as he held Carrie's bare ankle in his hand. "Dad?" "Go away, Roz." She came over to him. "Dad, what's going on?" She saw the body. "Jesus, Dad, what happened?" "An accident. The less you know about it, the better." She took a couple of steps closer. "Carrie, is he all right?" "Go away, Roz." Roz put her hand to her mouth. "Is he dead?" Jack let go of Carrie and came over to her. "It was an accident, Roz. I didn't mean to hurt him. He fell down." "Carrie!" She rushed over, then backed away until she bumped into the rock crusher. "He's dead. What happened, Dad? What did you do? Why did you do this?" Jack didn't know what to do. He looked back at Carrie, lying awkwardly on the concrete floor, the machete beside his leg. "It was an accident, Roz. I grabbed him. He fell. I didn't mean to—" "Carrie," she said. "Carrie." She would not look at Jack. "Roz, I would never have hurt him on purpose. What were you fighting about?" "It wasn't a fight. He told me you had slept together. I was shocked. I guess I—" Roz slumped to the floor. "It was my fault?" "No, it was an accident." "I don't believe this," she said. She looked at Carrie's body. Jack thought about the last time she must have seen him naked. "You're going to go to jail," Roz said. "They might even kill you. Who's going to take care of me?" "I'm going to take care of you. Please, Roz, don't think about this. You need to get out of here." "What are we going to do?" "You're not going to do anything except get out. Don't you understand?" Roz stared at him a long moment. "I can help." Jack felt chilled. "I don't want your help. I'm your father, damn it." She sat there, her eyes welling with tears. He sat down next to her and put his arm around her. She cried against his shoulder. A long time passed, and neither of them spoke. Finally, she pulled away from him. "It's my fault," she said. "I should have told you I loved him." Jack closed his eyes. He could hear his own pulse in his ears. The earth of the reservoir smelled rich and fertile. "Please don't say any more." "Oh, God, how could you do this?" he heard her whisper. "Carrie." She cried against Jack's shoulder some more. Then, after a while, swallowing her tears, Roz said, if we can get rid of his suit, they'll think he got lost on the surface. He opened his eyes and looked at her. Now he was scared. Who was this girl? What do you mean? He asked. Eating. Eva expected Jack would turn up at the festival eventually, and she didn't want to miss the partying. Her mother came by with some of her cronies, and then Eva found herself dancing with Angela's daughter, the colony's most notorious artist. 10 years ago, any gossip session in the sauna would devote 10 minutes to the sexy sculptress and her physicist lover. Since then, Angela had gained a pot belly, but her smile was as wicked as ever. During a break in the music, Eva shared a drink with Jamira Tamsla's daughter. Jamira told Eva she had seen Jack earlier. He's so handsome, Eva, Jamira said. You're so lucky, he's like a god. Eva smiled, thinking of Jack's taut body stretched across her bed. Where did he go? I don't know. I expect he's here somewhere. But Jack did not show up. What with one thing and another, it was well after midnight when Eva returned to her apartment. Jack was sitting on the floor with a glass in front of him. So here you are, Eva said. I thought we would meet at the festival. He looked up at her, and his blue eyes were so soulfully sad that she melted. I couldn't find you, he said quietly. She sat down next to him. I got caught up at the lab. She and Victor had been working overtime on assembler programming. Are Carrie and Roz here? No. Good. Then we can entertain ourselves. Unless this stuff you pour into yourself makes that unnecessary. Jack put his arms around her, pulled her to him, and rested his forehead against hers. You know I always need you, he whispered. Eva could smell spiced alcohol on his breath. She pulled him back onto the floor, and they kissed. They eventually found their way to the bedroom. Afterwards, she was ravenously hungry. As a member of the board, she had earned the privilege of a small kitchen. She padded in naked and returned to the room with a plate, a knife, an apple, and a hunk of cheese. Jack was stretched across the bed just as she had imagined him, the muscles of his belly thrown into relief by the low light. She sat cross-legged beside him, cut a slice from the apple, and offered it to him. Here we are in the garden. Eve offers you an apple. No, thanks. Come on, Adam, have some fun. His eyes flicked away from her. The corner of his mouth twitched. I've had too much fun already, he said to the ceiling. She drew the apple slice across his chest, down to his navel. There's always more where that came from. I'm worried about Roz. She shouldn't be out this late. Your daughter's too sensible to do anything risky. Eva heard the door to the apartment open, the sound of someone coming down the hall and entering Rosalind's room. See, Eva said, there she is. What about Carrie? Carrie, on the other hand, is no doubt busy getting into some sort of trouble. We'll deal with him in the morning. She brushed her hand over his penis, and it stiffened. He said nothing, but eventually his hand came up to touch her hair, and then he pulled her close and made love to her with an intensity that left her breathless and relaxed. He fell asleep beside her, and she lay watching the plate and the apple slices in the faint light. Soon, she thought, soon they would be able to reproduce anything. She would prove that the cousins were not some backward-looking female-dominated hive. They would stun the world. Dreaming of this, Jack's arm around her, she fell asleep. In the morning, Carrie had not returned. Over breakfast, Eva finished the apple, now turned brown. She asked Roz what had happened after hockey practice. After denying anything, Roz finally admitted that Carrie and some others had used the cover of the festival to sneak out of the colony onto the surface. The First Imprints Club. In the dead lunar surface, the marks of their urine in the dust would last as long as if it was etched in stone. That sounded like Carrie, right down to the wasting of water. Eva called Carrie's friends. She discovered that Carrie had left them at the festival, telling them he would catch up with them at the airlock. After waiting for him, they had gone out without him, expecting that he'd meet them on Shiva Ridge. Carrie's pressure suit was not in his locker at the north airlock. Eva tried not to panic. She alerted colony security. Hundreds of volunteers joined in a search of the surface. With the assistance of Carrie's friends, they found the footprints of the party, but none for Carrie. Lunar positioning satellites could not raise his suit's locator. Parties scanned the prominent landmarks, but came up empty.